I call this Town of Adams Board of Selectmen's meeting to order, Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Could everyone please stand and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have two sets of minutes. One is from the November 2nd regular Select Boards meeting, and the second set of minutes is from November 9th, which was the first meeting in regards to the dangerous dog hearing. What is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as submitted for November 2nd, 2022 and November 9th, 2022.
Motion by Christine, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Howard, any discussion?
Yes, I just found a few typo errors on the second page under, they're not numbered, it's the second page, I'm on the November 2nd.
Thank you.
In bold print, implement winter, it should be winter, overnight on-street parking ban, the bold print. And then also on the following page, on the top, nation grid should be national grid in both the top sentence and the sentence below. And also, I know it's tough for Bree when people are giving, but I'd like just to clarify, when I gave my report on the Conservation Commission, having to do with the state doing some work on both Cheshire Harbor and the Old Adams Road. It's not what I said, but as I just mentioned, it's hard when you're talking quickly, but it should be the reason is that Cheshire Harbor Trail that goes to Old Adams Road, that corridor will lead up to Jones's Nose parking lot, and from there they get onto Rockwell Road, which is the main road in Lanesboro leading to the summit. I believe they're trying to do it to accommodate the snowmobilers, because the only way up Mount Greylock from the Adams side is the Thunderbolt, which isn't doable, Gould Trail, which isn't doable, and others have gone all the way to the top of Cheshire Harbor, but toward the top it becomes very narrow, and if you meet sleds as you're going up the top, there's really just no room actually to pass each other. So those were the changes that I would like you to make if you could.
So I'm sorry, did you have a specific change related to that? Because
Okay.
I captured the sentiment of the conversation regarding your concerns. So if you had a specific change, that's fine, and I hear you, but I would just need to know exactly.
Okay, well, okay.
The minutes isn't to be worded.
Okay, the reason the work is happening is to help conduct a better snowmobile corridor. It goes along Rockwell Road. That should be, it goes up to Cheshire Harbor Trail, and then there's a corridor that would be taking a left onto Old Adams Road, and that leads to Jones's Nose parking lot. And from Jones's Nose parking lot, Rockwell Road is right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I know it's hard when you're talking quickly and, to get everything written down. And lastly, on the November 9th, the spelling of Whittek, our animal control officer, should be W-I-T-E-K. There's no H.
Noted.
Okay, that's all I have.
Do you have all those, Bree?
Got it.
Would you mind amending your motion?
I will amend my motion and put forward a motion to approve the minutes for Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022, with the changes as suggested by Member Novak, as well as the minutes for Wednesday, November 9th, with the change on page 1 of the minutes as noted by Member Novak.
You okay with that? I'll just second
Yes, I
that.
second that.
I'll give you a minute, Bree, to make your updates. And we'll sign these in your office whenever they're updated. Let us know. So we won't sign those this evening.
I will send out an email when they're.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, unanimous. Okay, public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board with anything that's not on this evening's agenda? Seeing none, moving on. Old business, anything old business, Jay, you good?
If through the chair, I don't know when I should insert this into the agenda, but I think old business, because I did bring it up in our November 2nd meeting, and I realized that November 3rd you had a meeting of the Regional Planning Commission.
The executive
Yes.
committee of the Regional
Yes.
Planning Commission, not the full commission.
Okay, and I wanted you to look into Mass CEC's Empower program and Mass Saves Community First Partnership program. Were you able to do so?
Well, I put some thought into that. I think the best way, well, the way it works, and Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the BRPC applies for grants, and they use host communities to work with them to apply for these grants. We've been very successful in the awarding. They work with our economic development office and with our town administrator. The communications go back and forth at that point. So it's really working with with Eamon and his office. So I thought the best way to do this would to have the executive director to come to a meeting and to review that information with us and any other questions we may have.
Okay?
Okay, so I think it's about, so that's my recommendation, that I'll do that. I'll have Tom come and he'll explain that, and we'll have a good discussion in regards to the BRPC, because I think we need to do that in more communities, visit select board meetings and explain exactly what we do at the BRPC, because I say it a lot, I say the MPO a lot, but exactly what do we do there? So I think it's best to bring, have someone, at least representative from that organization, and myself explain those. So there is a process working with the town, so. Anything else, old business? New business, ratification of Matthew Francor as Operator 1, Highway Department of Public Works. Jay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt, why don't you come on up to the hot seat there for a couple minutes? I'll read our ratification letter. Dear Board, this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that Mr. Matthew Francoeur has been appointed to the position of Operator 1 for the Department of Public Works. As provided in Section 10 of the Town Charter, I am pleased to present to Mr. Francoeur for your ratification this evening. We had the pleasure of meeting with Matt last week while we conducted a number of interviews for the Operator 1 position. Not only was he exceedingly friendly, but he came to us with over 10 years of municipal public works experience. He currently holds his commercial driver's license as well as a variety of hoisting licenses with tanker and hazmat endorsements. Obviously, these licenses and certifications are a benefit to our community, as he doesn't need to acquire them as he already has them. Additionally, Matt has specific municipal infrastructure maintenance experience, such as plowing roadways, building catch basins, and working with asphalt and paving operations. During his interview, Matt was able to express his desire to serve in a municipal setting and was specifically interested in working for the town of Adams. Matt demonstrated a very strong understanding of safety practices and holds safety as a top priority for himself as well as other members of his crew. Matt had the opportunity to visit our DPW garage, tour the space, introduce himself to his future colleagues, and after this meeting, it was further evident that he has the potential to be a great addition to our team. Mr. Francoeur displayed initiative and drive to learn new concepts. He is eager to apply his extensive knowledge to his work with the Adams DPW, while also taking the opportunity to learn new construction methods that we may use here in Adams. We're excited to welcome him to the Adams DPW. Once ratified, he'll begin his employment on or about November the 21st at a Step 7 Operator 1 position at a rate of $22.17 per hour.
Great, welcome. Any questions from the board?
Yes, if I could. I like your qualifications. I think that as town administrator made mention of that it will forego a lot of time because you have the necessary licenses. I just would like a little background. I don't see the resumes. Where did you get all this experience throughout the years? Where did you work?
Let's see, 11 years for the City of Pittsfield Highway Department. Before that, years back after high school, I poured a lot of concrete for a foundation company, so I know how to swing a hammer there, and I delivered milk for Crescent Creamery for around 15 years, so I got excellent driving record.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I just wanted to know a little bit about you. And how many applicants were there, Jay? 3? Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you. I believe I'm going to start Monday, so
All right.
we'll see you on the road, I guess.
Board's pleasure.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to ratify the appointment of Mr. Matthew Francor to the position of Operator 1 for the Department of Public Works at a Step 7 rate of $22.17 per hour.
Motion by Christine, do we have a second?
I second it.
Second by Howard, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome
Nice to
aboard.
meet you. Thank you.
That's it, Matt. Yeah, you're welcome. Ashley will be in touch, and Bobby will be in touch too about Monday.
The second item under new business, ratification of Norm Sharon of Operator 3, as Operator 3, Parks and Grounds, Department of Public Works. Jay?
So this is an internal promotion. As everybody knows, we're structured with an operations manager, then we have 2 working foremen, one on the Parks Ground side, one on the highway side, followed by operators 3, 2, and 1. You recall not long ago, we promoted Wayne Brown to the position of, Tristan Fieri to the position of Operator 3 as a result of both a retirement and moving around. So in this situation, this is an internal promotion due to the retirement of Mr. Scrocky. Dear Board, this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that Mr. Norman Sharon has been appointed to the position of Operator 3, Parks and Grounds, for the Department of Public Works. As provided in Section 10 of the Town Charter, I am pleased to present Mr. Sharon for your ratification this evening. Mr. Sharon has worked for our community for almost 15 years. Norm has demonstrated the knowledge required and experience necessary to execute his duties. Mr. Sharon has spent a significant amount of time supervising and coordinating our seasonal employees for the Parks and Cemeteries Division, and he does possess the required licenses for the Operator 3 role. During his interview, it was clear that Mr. Sharon takes pride in his work, cares about the community. He demonstrated that he is prepared for the expanded supervisory and leadership role that the Operator 3 position does require. Once ratified, Mr. Sharon will begin his employment on or about November the 21st at a Step 7 Operator 3 position amounting $24.04 per hour.
Okay, any questions from the board? Hearing none, what is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to ratify the appointment of Mr. Norman Sharon to the position of Operator 3, Parks and Grounds for the Department of Public Works at a Step 7 rate of $24.04 per hour.
Motion by Christine, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Howard, any discussion?
Just a comment. I've known Norm for a while, and I think Norm's a good guy. I think he puts his heart into his work, and I'm more than happy to endorse his raise or climb up the ladder.
Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous decision. Next, we have the appointment of Lauren Steins to the Adams Agricultural Commission. Is Lauren here this evening? Would you mind coming up? Thank you. Hi. Jay, you have anything like that? Or?
Just that, as we've been going along, the board indicated it wanted to populate the Agricultural Commission. I would suggest that Member Novak's been pounding the pavement, looking for members, and Lauren here, I believe, is the 5th. After Lauren is appointed, Bree does have some information for the board in terms of the appointment staggering as well.
Lauren, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in becoming a member of the Agricultural Commission?
Well, I grew up on a family farm. I've been very passionate about animals and agriculture most all my life. I've had my daughter through 4-H programs, and I still volunteer doing 4-H things with my nieces and nephews. I've been selling New Holland tractor parts for the last 19 years. I have very well known in the farming community, and I know a lot of them friends and know a lot of farming people and hear their complaints and hear their good things, and I thought maybe I could help out.
Going to be a great addition to this committee. Anyone else on the board?
No? It's
Mary?
nice that you brought another member of the Agricultural Commission with you.
I have one other question, and Haley's here. I'd like that to direct you, to you, Haley. Do they need to be sworn in?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that you can make arrangements to do, or should one of us or the town administrator get a hold of each individual, letting them know that they need to be sworn in?
It's really the hours that you're open, didn't come down?
Yes, it's the hours that I'm open, but if the Agricultural Commission does schedule a meeting and I'm able to be there, I'm more than happy to swear all 5 of them in at once.
Okay.
Great.
That would be great.
Yeah, I would, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
We need a motion.
I knew that. That's my mind.
That's okay.
I'd like to put forth a motion to, for Lauren Stearns to be appointed to the Agricultural Commission. Once again, you've heard Lauren's background. I think that the 5 members that will compose the Agricultural Commission are certainly people that are involved in farming, and I think their foresight will be helpful for us. So I make that motion.
Motion by Joe, do we have a second?
Before I second, can I just clarify, the last name is Steins?
Steins,
Not
correct.
Stearns?
Correct,
Okay.
Steins. Yep.
So if, Mr. Novak, could you modify your,
I thought I said Steins. If I didn't, I will modify.
Okay.
Lauren Steins to the
Yes.
Agricultural Commission, and if I said your name wrong, I apologize.
Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
I will second.
Second by Christine. I was just trying to hurry it up before you left, so you wouldn't change your mind. You know?
I saw her corrected at the podium. I was
It's
like,
a habit, sorry.
that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, unanimous. Welcome.
So a couple of housekeeping items about the Agricultural Commission.
Sure.
First of all, we will, thanks to Haley's efforts, we have assignments for the terms of the Agricultural Commission. Number 2, I have assigned Becky Ferguson in our Community Development Department to be the staff liaison to Historical Commission, the Parks Commission, and the Agricultural Commission. The one factor is that we do not have administrative support in terms of taking minutes and posting meetings. It would be helpful that as we populate these working boards and commissions, that a member of that board itself is able to do that. We can train the person to post the meetings appropriately and to take meeting minutes. But our administrative staff, there is no room to really add another, if they meet quarterly, that's probably not going to be a problem. But if it gets active, which I think is everyone's hope, we do have a lack of administrative support for some of these boards. So I just want to make that known to everybody, that we will do our best to support it. We have a staff liaison. Becky's position is not administrative support, it's high-level conceptual management, so that any work that the commission takes on can be integrated appropriately into the workflow of community development. So I just want to set the stage in terms of what the expectations are for the commission. Bree, why don't you go ahead and list off the terms that Haley provided?
Yeah, so the makeup for the Agricultural Commission will be as follows. There will be 2 members appointed to a 3-year term, 2 members to a 2-year term, and then 1 member to a 1-year term. It is being established in order in which they were appointed to the commission. So Natasha Bordeaux, who was appointed on September 7th, will have her appointment expire on June 30th of 2025. Christina Satko is next, who was appointed back in July. She will also be on that same 3-year track. Then we have Meg Bantle, who was appointed back in September. She will be on the 2-year track. And then Sonia McWhort also on that 2-year track. And then Lauren, as our 5th and final member here today, will be on that 1-year track. So she will expire in June of 2023.
So all that means is she will need to run in 1 year, the
Yes.
others in 2 years and 3 years and
Yes.
so on,
Yep.
right?
Well, it's not a running
It's
position.
an appointment.
Oh, this is appointed.
Appointed.
All right, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, next, we have an update on Hoosick Valley Regional School District. Aaron Dean.
Sorry, it's been a hectic week. We got parent conferences going on this week, and I am actually a substitute principal at the high school this week, which I'll get into in a couple of minutes. So.
Congratulations.
What's that? That's a Hoosick Valley tie. I figured I'd...
Represent.
Yeah. So I wanted to at least come and check in with the board, do a little informal update, give you a chance to ask any questions, and things like that. So this fall, we've been very active, very busy. Our enrollment is up 10 students from last year to 1,027 from 1,017. We've seen some encouraging signs with some of the work we've been doing. Our freshman class is 85 students compared to years past where we've had classes in the 60s and 50s. So I think a lot of the things that we're doing at the high school, to promote programming, to really try to find a match for students in the area is helping us. This year we're doing a lot of work deepening some of the things we've done in the past. So it's really, our 2 themes this year are deepening the rigor of our curriculum and deepening the engagement with families and communities. So it's probably fitting that I'm here talking tonight, touching base and just talking a little bit about the work. This year we added Erica Dragenti as a family and community coordinator in an effort to deepen our engagement with families in the community. And the goals around her position have been to increase student attendance, help promote the programming, and really provide connections with resources in the community. We're doing a lot of work at the high school right now with the Berkshire workforce, trying to expand internships, career pathways, and things like that. So a lot of exciting things. And part of what's happening right now is our principal and assistant principal of teaching learning from the high school are in Colorado, looking at some models of high schools that have done things differently, so we can try to take some ideas and bring them back here. It's no mystery that traditional high schools have had to think of ways to reinvent ourselves, because with everybody looking at college and career readiness, we were always the college readiness, and McCann was always the career readiness, so to speak. We both have had to look at ways to reinvent ourselves over the years. So we're looking at ways that we can provide internships and career experiences for students so they can find their path with us. And what's unique about us is if you come to Hoosick Valley, you can try things. If a particular pathway doesn't meet what you're looking for, you can kind of jump and try a few different things, and hopefully that helps you find your way a little bit. So some exciting work that's going on up there. And in terms of deepening the curriculum, we've renewed our ELA curriculum, English Language Arts, last year, and we're getting a little, this year we're in the implementation stage, I would say. Last year was installation, this year's implementation. We're getting deeper into that work. We're looking deeper at our math curriculum, updating those pieces. These are areas that probably hadn't been updated in a number of years when I got here, so now we're finally starting to get some traction. We have a curriculum director that's fabulous and really has a way of pulling everything together and making sure everybody's getting job-embedded training. We have assistant principals of teaching and learning at every building that are responsible for doing a lot of that job-embedded training during the day to make sure that teachers are planning together, learning together, and really honing in on their practices. And then it's no mystery, I guess, that in today's world, we're dealing with a lot of challenges with mental health and social emotional needs. This year we adopted new programs at each of the buildings, so we've been working through the installation of those programs and looking at ways we can
better support students and families with some of the mental health needs and connecting them with resources. So definitely a lot of important and in a lot of ways exciting work happening in the district. So I wanted to just come in and let you know about some of that. And one other thing, I guess, that, you know, was a hot button topic this fall is that for the first time we ventured into a shared services agreement, and we are sharing an athletic director with North Adams Public Schools. And, you know, by all accounts, that's going very well and was a great move for us because both places needed a part-time person, and it's really hard to find a part-time person. So now we have a full-time person that we share that's very highly qualified and doing some great work for us in Jeff Polari. So I think that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if you have any questions or if you...
I just have one. You mentioned the enrollment went up 10 students this
Yeah.
year. Is that from the October 1st report submitted to the state?
Yeah.
So we'll see that. So do you think it's, we had a decline for several years, number of students enrolled. Do you think it's leveling off now a bit, or?
I think to a degree it's leveling off. I mean, I've had discussions with many people about this. That there's not just one reason that the enrollment has declined in the district. I mean, it's definitely a county-wide problem where we haven't had just the families that are in the area. It's just the population's been declining, and a lot of districts have been dealing with this. I think some encouraging things, you know, maintaining some of our students in the high school level will only help us stabilize, right? And we have encouraging signs in terms of the elementary school. We've got over 400 students in the elementary school now. And in a recent study that we did for our pre-K programming, and maybe hopefully eventually moving to universal pre-K programming, we're in the planning stages with the grants and that right now. And there were over 600 children under age 5 in the community. So there are some encouraging signs in terms of the future of youth here. And I do think in a lot of ways we've seen numbers stabilize
Good, thank
more
you.
recently. So.
All right, open up to the board. Questions?
That's encouraging information about your enrollment. I've seen some positive changes and appreciate the invitations to participate in some of the various community functions that you guys have done. Eric has done some great
Yes.
outreach, so thank you for that, and I appreciate the open conversation and coming forward tonight.
Yeah.
Howard?
Yes, I've commented previously on the work that Kristen Pallett's doing in the curriculum. If you could expand on that, how you see, strategically, how you see her as an asset to the community in terms of the work she's doing to help mainstream some of the kids and reduce the cost burden of special ed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question and a great point to bring up around our work. You know, looking at our curriculum and what's been used and not having things updated for a number of years, that created what we call a tier 1 problem. I probably shouldn't say the word problem, but it created a situation where we weren't meeting needs of students in our tier 1 instruction. So that's the instruction that we give across the board to everybody. So you have to do a lot of work to differentiate for students and find a match in terms of instruction. That's Kristen's expertise. High leverage instructional practices, looking at the classrooms, looking for things, little things like learning objectives and how they get carried out through a lesson, but also formative assessments and how we can do some quick checks to see that students are getting it or are not getting it. And then,
So they don't fall behind.
right. So from there, you take what's called firm action. You're digging in. You're gonna re-engage students in the material if they need that. You're gonna regroup your students. Maybe certain students need a certain skill, so you'll regroup them within the classrooms and reteach it. Or in some cases, you move on because the curriculum is going to spiral back, and you know there are opportunities to get the students to that material. But that's all in her wheelhouse. I did a lot of work with her in Pittsfield. We were both in turnaround schools, and we learned a great deal through that work. So she brings that to the table, and she also brings an understanding of what it is the teachers need, and she has an amazing way of
getting them connected with the resources they need and encouraging them, with ways to move forward. So I think, she's been a huge asset, and just understanding focus areas as well. I mean, she's really good at finding, we need to focus on this and bringing us in a direction. So.
Thank you.
Joe?
Yes, just a few questions and comments. I've been back substituting at the schools after 2 years working at St. Stan's, and I definitely have noticed more children in the lower grades. But along with the children in the lower grades, what percentage of the children coming into kindergarten are categorized as special needs, one way or the other, whatever their special need would be?
Well, typically in kindergarten, you're not going to have a lot of students coming in. It's your students that needed the services and were part of our special education program in pre-K. Kindergarten is kind of a year where you're seeing what you've got, you're applying some early interventions and trying some things before you get into the special education process. It's tough to tell at this point in time. That information really comes out about March when you've tried some things like reading intervention or some of those different pieces. And some of the work we've been doing, actually going back to Howard's question, is also along the lines of the identification process and building a three-tiered structure where if students aren't getting it in that initial phase and with the reteaching and the things that are happening in the classroom, we have Title I services that kick in, and they'll get some of those skill-based pieces along the way to try to boost them up. And if you're going through that and they're still not responding, trying another thing before you get to the Tier 3, which is your special education process. So making sure that we're doing our due diligence to provide what's called the least restrictive learning environment, making sure we're giving students exactly what they need.
And also, the young children, I just marvel at them because they still want to learn. And, you sit down with them and you read them a story, and, their thinking process is coming to the forefront. And it's very nice to see the young children engaged. But as I go up to high school, as you well know, our community and low-income communities have basic family home problems. They go home to broken families, and it's no reflection of the teachers up there. They do their best, and I think we got some great teachers in our school system. But as I see, some of the kids it's hard to control them in the 8th grade and things, I have them and they're just wild and you can't control them. And it's no reflection on yourself or the teachers. It all starts with family. But when I'm substituting and I'm telling the kids, please stop, they don't. I know you know that about education. And, I don't know how you can solve it. But once again, I feel that, you've done a very good job so far, but there's a lot more to go. There always will be. So just hang in.
Well, just responding to that, there is no magic bullet, Joe, right? I mean, it's about getting students engaged deeply. So it is having quality curriculum, but it's having ways to get students to critically think and apply those skills, right? I mean, the best form of engagement is cognitive engagement. Think of classes that you've been in over the years that went by like that because you were cognitively engaged. You were really into the activity. So I think we have to do a lot of work along those lines, which is why we're also looking at these career readiness opportunities and really trying to tap into students' interests. But we are also dealing with mental health. We're dealing with residual effects of COVID. That's the reality. And I often say to people, what's happening in the schools is a microcosm of what's happening in the world and in the country, right? We're dealing with these things all over the place. It's not going to magically disappear in the school, so we have to find ways to work on that. So we've been looking at development of student support centers and reset rooms to give students that are having those struggles the opportunity to go get some skills based on their behaviors, still get their education and try to maintain them within the school setting. So, it's we have to hit it from all tiers, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier full-time preschool. And I know we have preschool currently for special needs students, and there's a lottery, used to be a lottery, I think, for
Yeah, there's a lottery for typical, what we
typical
call
students,
typical
right.
students.
So I think it's a great idea. I think it's great to be in the front of other school districts and to offer that program. I was up there when we did the full-time kindergarten. We used to have half-time, we moved it to full-time. So is there any, I know you're working it.
Yes.
So can you give any kind of a status? It's okay if you.
Yeah, we have a pretty comprehensive report on how to move forward with that process that we're actually going to be digging into, because there's another grant opportunity for us to expand our pre-K programming. So the next couple of weeks, we're sitting down with our full team to kind of look at that report. And actually, I'm happy to share that report with the board if you'd like.
Sure.
Just to kind of look at what was looked at in terms of our current programming, ways that we can improve it, and ways that we can expand it. I think there's some great information in that we want to dig deeper, and there's some new grant opportunities that we can take advantage of that could help us really do that important work. So
I think communication is a great way to work together, because in the end, the grants only go so long, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
So there will be some cost down the
Yeah.
road, but the investment is definitely worth it. The second thing is the Plunkett School, the maintenance. There was an article
Yep.
in the local news media in regards to the state of the building itself, and there were some items that were identified that needed to be worked. It was good to see that the school district is going to use funding that you have, some grants and, federal government funding, and there's also some funding left that the town of Adams had provided years ago, I believe. We used to have meetings.
176,000, I believe. 162.
Eh?
I was trying to push it up a little. No.
So anyways, when you're talking about the amount of students in the primary school, Joe mentioned too that it's probably, because we had a discussion about 8 to 10 years ago indicating a different outcome possibly for that school, but
Yeah.
the way the discussion is going this evening, it may, I think we need to begin those collaborations again
Yeah.
with the town and with the district on that building and the maintenance thereof.
Yeah, I agree. And for us, the big part was we have the EDM study that was done in the building to really identify some key projects. And the good thing about that study is it breaks it down into different pieces. We've already addressed some of the pieces along the way. We've got a contractor that's going to take care of the windows, and we're going to be able to use our ventilation and HVAC grant to do that. One of the big pieces we were looking at was water diversion. That was clearly spelled out in that article. And that's something that I think before COVID, I think we started those discussions, but I mean, it got thrown off track. I think those are probably projects that will make sense for the town of Adams to collaborate with us on, and we continually chip away at some of the other pieces that are happening. At some point, we're going to have a capital expense with the roof, but I think we'll be able to roll a few different things into that between here and the high school, some of the roof projects that are going to have to happen sometime in the next 5 years. I think we'll have some things coming off the books, and so it won't be too much of a hit, and we'll continue the maintenance, the way that the buildings deserve and need at this point in time.
Okay, the last thing I have is I wanted to thank you and the school committee and your staff. Very pleased in seeing on Veterans Day, or prior to that the veterans marched through the hallways with all the students, cheering them on. It was great to see, and it's a great thing for the district and for the community to see that, what's going on up at the high school. So thank you for whoever organized that, your staff.
That's Erica.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things we talk about, deeper engagement. That's such a great way to engage the community. I mean, everybody's family probably has somebody that relates to that and can be represented in that nature. So it was a great event. It was great to meet a lot of our local vets and walk through the building with them. And it was, it was kind of a tearjerker at times for sure. And I know they appreciated it.
Okay, anything else? John?
Yes, just quickly, I don't want to prolong this, but there's a lot of catch basins around the school, and have they been checked to see if the lead-out pipes are, clean? Because I don't believe they probably are, if you understand what I'm saying, because there are a lot of catch basins. And also, up on your roof, I don't think the gutters have been cleaned for a long time.
They were clean by the fire department.
Because I know I brought that up, because I know they needed it, because you could see that.
Gutters are not properly, if I remember right, we had, the fire department volunteered to clean them out, and they were rotted out from, they go into the ground into a French drain system.
Yeah.
And then we also discovered that the balance of the gutters was not correct, so it was backing up. And just to conclude, what Aaron said earlier was $162,000 that we have for us is a big chunk of money. But when you look at what needs to be done to the building, it's not. You can't really do anything with it. So Aaron and I said, well, if we have $162,000, what does the school district have to match that to a certain extent so we can get some bang for the dollar? And that's what we've been talking about. It just goes a lot more when you have the two parties, because we have so many buildings we have to maintain. All of our buildings aren't exactly in state of good repair. They're in a variety of different aspects of it. But if we can take that leveraged $162,000 that the town has allocated for the building and match it with some funds that the district has, which is a situation we didn't have prior to the bright spot of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We can definitely do something with it. But water infiltration has always been our...
Yeah, I mean, that's something that needs to be corrected, or we're going to have a great deal of more problems.
Yep.
So, and it's something that I think we can handle a lot of those pieces in the coming year, so.
I wanted,
Go ahead, Howard.
Erica, you'd mentioned what Erica was doing, some of the outreach. So for the public, what are some of the things that Erica's learning and are outreaching to the parents? Because we all know that parental engagement is critical in a child's education.
Yeah, so, I mean, Erica is working with our attendance reports monthly, and looking at ways to reach out to families and eliminate barriers to students that aren't attending frequently, that we would call, that we would say have chronic absences. So that's one piece of her role. Another piece is if through like some of our meetings and our processes, we have families that are identified as having some needs for resources. She's connecting families to resources in different agencies, and she's part of like the hub meetings monthly, and really making those outward connections that we end up being too busy and we can't regularly attend. So she's a regular presence with local agencies to kind of make some connections along the way. When we had a little bit of a COVID outbreak at the beginning of the year, she helped connect us to some test kits that we could get into the building. So, I mean, she's really operating in a lot of ways. And she's also doing a lot of work with the high school, with the Berkshire Workforce Board, and making connections with businesses. This January, we have plans to have a signature event for local businesses, to get them in to see the programming that we're working on, get some feedback on that, but also learn what businesses are looking for, so we can set up some more internship programs, and we can help one another. I think coming in, those are pieces that, I felt like the school wasn't often looked at as a resource, and we are a huge resource, and I want people to look to us more to be a hub in the community and make some of those connections. So Erica is doing a great job of making a lot of those connections for us and helping with that work. And it's just, I really appreciate having her lens in a lot of things, because she's like, have you got that out there? No? Let's do that. Thank you. So.
Just one quick question, yes or no, is there such a position anymore in any school systems as the truant officer?
No.
Okay, so that's kind of an obsolete job. They were the people, I remember when I was younger, if kids were missing school, they had the ability to go and find out what was going on.
Yeah, and that's been basically on the building administration for a while. And some of the changes with the jobs, I mean, we're really limited in terms of what we can do. So, I mean, you have to be creative and think out of the box to break some of those barriers. On the high school level, you certainly use the core systems, but
All right.
complicated.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next, item E, update items for transfer station. We have 3 areas. The first one is ratify new hours of operation. The second is ratify new fees for tire disposal. And the third will be review use of transfer station by outside parties for fundraising. Jay, did you want to start us through?
Sure, I can start you through with the new hours of operation. So right now, during the late daylight season, we had historically been open 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Saturday 8 a.m. To 3 p.m. We're proposing that the hours now be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Saturday open earlier, half hour earlier for everybody at 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'll also note that the Wednesday hours, I would hope that we're going to be able to change those again probably in the spring if we're successful. As you know, we have Thursday evening hours when it's daylight later in the day. There's no exterior illumination at the transfer station, which is why most folks can't use it after hours. We're finding that a lot of folks would like to use it year-round after work or later in the day. So I have a few of our folks looking at what the possibilities could be to put some safety lighting up there so we could have year-round later hours on Wednesday. But for now, we're asking that the hours be changed to ratify 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Wednesday and 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday.
Okay, does the board want to take the actions one at a time, or?
I can run everybody through it all now if you want
Sure.
one shot.
I don't know.
Bob's Tires is our tire vendor. We don't do a lot of tire business. I want to say, last year was maybe a little under $500 total. I think it's maybe been about $225 just in the last 6 months or so. But their contract, basically, they can increase their fees at any time. We're dealing with this. So we're asking the memo that you have in front of you, we're asking to go from a standard passenger size tire, which is 19.5 or less, from $5 to $7 per tire. 19.5 size tires, I don't know why that's called out for, to be honest with you, why it's 19.5, but that's a popular one. $7.50 to $10. Truck tires, $20 to $22. Small farm tires, $30 to $32. And the large farm tires, $75 to $77. This covers our cost and makes about $1.50 per tire to cover our handling of it.
Can you go over the process of, if you have tires you would like to bring up there, what should the individual do?
Sure, if you have a tire that fits this description, town hall hours, go to the treasurer collector's office, indicate the quantity and type of tire. They collect the money and they give you a receipt for it. You bring it to the transfer station attendant will verify that you're bringing up what you've paid for, and it's deposited there. That's it, easy peasy. There is no cash handled at the transfer station, and we do not intend to ever have cash handled at the transfer station location. And as you see in the note from the memo, the DPW did a little research, and those prices are still comparable to other communities. And the last piece of this, item C, review use of transfer station by outside parties for fundraising. Historically, some groups have liked to use the transfer station for that. Recently, we've heard from the State Ethics Commission that public facilities, including transfer stations, cannot be used for campaigning or collecting signatures, et cetera. So that was one change that we knew we were going to have to make at one point. And then secondly, we had at least 3 or 4 groups that really wanted to fundraise up there this year, and we have found that when that happens, it can get very busy, it can get very congested up there. The transfer station's attendant's job is to verify that everyone has a proper permit. That is, that they've permitted to use the facility. That's to ensure that people who don't live in the town of Adams aren't depositing their trash with us, costing the taxpayer money to deposit it. And also, if any assistance is need be, but also the waistband. We just had a new waistband go into effect November 1st. It's very difficult to enforce, and it's one transfer station attendant. As Linda Cernick will tell you from Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District, no transfer station has more than one attendant. So our attendant is doing a lot at the same time, and previous attendants have told me that they get called up to the front gate when people are soliciting and fundraising. It's not for lack of charity, it's just for lack of traffic control, congestion, and then frankly, some residents have offered, their opinion at times where they would like to just go deposit their trash and leave and not feel obligated to give. So that's why we're putting this in front of the board for your thoughts. If there was a better way to manage it, we would look at it, but I think it's best if we just say that we don't do it, at least for now. We've had to have detail officers up there periodically, not recently for this issue, but, in the past. So the only thing that we offer is in June, Kelly will go up there and we'll sell permits right on site, which is very convenient. We'll continue to do that. But we do have a detail officer up that day because of the amount of cash that's handled.
Now, you mentioned in regards to those running for elected office, you indicated that you can no longer be up at the transfer station, but you also mentioned from your training that it also means any town-owned
Correct.
public building.
Correct.
Right, so, okay.
Yep, no public property can be used for campaigning or soliciting signatures.
Okay. All right, questions? Board?
Yeah, then I have a question on that campaigning. So when you see people like standing out the day before an election and they're at the Rotary on our, that isn't allowable then, right?
I would say not. I think we have to be judicious in how we
Right.
move that along, but with the transfer station, with a gate, with it being locked, we can control that. If someone's passively standing on a public sidewalk or somewhere that might be accessible to pedestrians, I think that's a different case. But just I think for our purposes, a public building, like for example, when we have elections at Memorial Election Lawn, you have to be, there's a footage, right, Haley, for that? That's okay, but the transfer station, to stand there with a sign, if somebody did it on Carrie's property across the street, hey, that's private property, have at it. So I would say just for our purposes, town buildings, town grounds, transfer station, that type of thing.
And when, through the chair, when our tires are taken by Bob's Tires, what does he do with them? Does he make a financial gain from them?
I would assume so. I don't know exactly what the in-supply chain looks like, but it could definitely be reused. I think there's a pretty good market for reused rubber, which I would imagine. These prices aren't, terrible considering it's a service that we offer. I'll also note too, we've been putting them in a terrible old box trailer. We're looking at using our recycling dividends that we get from the state for a new Conex box, of some type to clean it up. I don't think we'll be able to use the dividends for lighting, but we can look at that on the capital side, but we just want to make a few more user improvements up there.
Okay, any other questions? Just want to add the last item for fundraising. The area has changed over the last few years that now we offer trash collection. We have a trash compactor up there, which we didn't have a few years ago. We also take clothing, and I think down the road, books, clothing, and
Yes.
and down the road, there may be additional items we may take, so there's a lot going on up there, so.
Right, we still, we're with a new attendant working up there too, we're also looking at where some pinch points are. He has experience with our transfer stations. There's probably a better way to do it, and we just need a little bit more time to think that through. We might want to hold people back a little bit, only allow 2 or 3 cars into the collection area at the time. And like you said, John, we have commingle, we have paper, we have municipal solid waste. We're collecting scrap metal. We have brush, we have leaves, we have cans. Boy Scouts are collecting the deposit-worthy items up there. Linda does a lot of, periodic stuff. We offer a lot of services up there. If you can pack your car with all that stuff and we can take it, you might be spending a few minutes up there unloading your car. So we're keeping that in mind as we go. And it's one person trying to manage all of that.
Okay, any further discussions, questions? What is the board's pleasure on these 3 items that Jay has just provided information for?
I'll make a motion to ratify the new hours of operation as proposed for Wednesdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Saturdays, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m.
We have a motion by Christine, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Howard, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous.
I will ratify the proposed new fees for the tire disposal as presented.
Motion by Christine. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Howard. Any further discussion?
Do I need to state in the motion when these would go into effect? That's the only thing I didn't see. I would think it would be immediate.
Immediate, yeah, immediate. It's sporadic, so you can say immediately.
Okay.
Effective tomorrow.
To go into effect November 17th.
Okay, so that's the motion. And Howard, you okay with that?
Yes,
That's a
second.
second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. So Saturday morning, 7:30 is the time it's going to be open.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one more item.
Are you looking for a vote from
Oh,
the
no,
Board
you're
of Selectmen?
There's
That
probably
was just
no
information, it
action.
looked like.
It's informational. If you wish to endorse it, that would be fine. Just gives me the policy guidance that I need to guide ourselves when we get the inquiries. Or just a consensus, yes, we understand that. That's however you want to handle it. I've unfortunately been Dr. No the last couple times, which is why John and I thought it would be good to present it to you.
Okay, any action from the board?
I'm happy to endorse the policy set that the transfer station would not be used for outside parties' fundraising efforts.
Okay, I also would endorse that. Anyone else? Anything else to add? Okay. All right, thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Next, we have subcommittee and liaison reports. Howard.
Nothing for me.
Christine.
I have a few items, so bear with me for a moment. First off, the BRTA has announced that there will be free transit available starting November 25th and going through December 31st of this year. That will be free bus and paratransit services. They're being offered free thanks to a grant through Mass DOT. So if you are using bus services or if you have wanted to try bus services, there is a free program. Again, it's November 25th through December 31st. On the licensing side of things, I did want to notify the board. Back in June, we had 2 establishments who were found in violation by the ABCC for serving underage an underage person. It was AJ's and Firehouse Cafe, both on the same evening of June 22nd. Their hearing was held by the ABCC on October 18th, and we just received the decision November 4th, so it's been since the last board meeting, that they were both issued a warning. It is a first violation for both of those establishments, and they have corrected the errors that took place that evening.
Can I ask a question? So in the past, I remember that the board, acting as the licensing authority, has had individual store owners come before us that have had a individual that was underage go in, working with an organization, be it the law enforcement, and they did serve alcohol. So what's the difference then and with this situation, just for my education?
So typically, the licensing subcommittee has waited for the ABCC hearing to take place to see what their action was,
Okay,
and if there would be any additional action from the local.
licensing board. So what is the recommendation from
The
the?
licensing committee has not met. We will meet. I just wanted to notify the board.
Right.
If anybody on the board would like to take further action, we can do so. Me personally, I think that the warning is sufficient from the ABCC.
Thank you for the update.
I also wanted to just mention that there was the community meeting with the residents in the area of 20 East Street with the developers of the 20 East Street property that was held on Monday evening. Good turnout. About 16 people from the neighborhood showed up to meet the Hintons, hear of the plan. They talked a little bit about their concerns in the neighborhood. The Hintons received the information very well, and we had some people in the room who were really excited about this new project. So that was really great. Thank you to Community Development for scheduling that. I think it was nice for the neighborhood to meet the Hintons. And my last update is I did attend a couple of training programs. As I think you're all aware, the Selectmen's Association for the state has been pretty busy with their lunch and learn program this fall. There was a cannabis law webinar last week. It was a lot to digest, a lot of information about the new cannabis law. I'm still going through the notes, and I have watched the webinar twice now, and we'll probably have to watch it a third time to fully digest that. And then there was one today on funding sources for affordable housing initiatives. So I will forward that information to Community Development Office for any potential developers who are looking for funding sources for those projects. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Joe?
Yes, I attended a Conservation Commission meeting, and what was on the agenda had to do with 5 and 7 Hoosick Street, the large mill complex. The proposed developer came forth wanting to do some remedial work around the foundation of the structure to keep water from going in. There was some talk on it, and the Conservation Commission unanimously allowed the things needed to take place, and they were represented by Emily Stockman, who is certainly, in my opinion, one of the best wetland specialists in the area, and she represented the owner of the mill. Also, the problem down at M&M Micro building, there was a parking lot that was being used in a wetlands area, and an engineer came in for the representing the establishment, and they worked it out so that the driveway had been used already, but they've made an agreement to change the situation to allow for better drainage, and that after the engineer's presentation, the Conservation Commission unanimously agreed with what is going on. And lastly, Specialty Minerals came in, and they had an outstanding notice of intent that was okayed a while back, but was never signatured right and never put into the right docket. So they had to do with the Zimba field down there when they did some work there that was allowing water to get into the cornfield and taking away some of the agricultural land. They rectified the situation, but they never had the notice of intent put into the proper channels. So once again, the Conservation Commission reviewed it, and they had to make a new document because the time had expired, and that was taken care of. So that was the gist of the Conservation Commission. And I too was called in and listened to the cannabis webinar, and I think the speaker was Nicole Costanzo. She was from KP Law, and I think the big gist of it, and as Christine mentioned, it was kind of complicated, but it was mainly to document things because the host agreements are changing now. And if you make a host agreement with someone and they don't like what happens, they can come back. So in short, it was document everything, make sure you got both sides of the story. And that's the best I could get out of it. I've watched it once too, and unless you're really into that and able to continue watching, it's ever changing. But this was a big change compared to the few that we've made host agreements with. So it's definitely something that we'll need to pay strict attention to.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
It's the adoption of the social equity policy
Yeah.
that is a little overwhelming
Yep.
to some extent, and I've shared some examples I've been able to find of other communities. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've found any yet.
Well, I
but it's-
haven't really looked for that. I think
Because
that,
that's the biggest piece.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you almost can't even entertain another host community agreement without that policy in place.
right, I agree with that, but you're gonna find that more in the big city settings
Yeah.
than here. But we do have to be, astute with that, and so, but once again, Christine's correct, that was another big portion of it also.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, thank you. The Berkshire Regional Planning Commission has a full commission meeting tomorrow evening. We are going to try to make it a hybrid meeting. It's not like the community of Adams where we have all of our meetings in person. And I thank everyone who does that, but we're trying different ways to get members to show up at the BRPC offices. So we'll see how it works out tomorrow night. We're offering some food too, early.
Oh, that doesn't.
So we're hoping that makes a difference. Okay, let's see, we have some announcements this evening. Who would like to take these? Or just announce them?
Item B, Haley's here to talk about.
Okay. The first item is the announcement of the annual holiday music from Dr. Bush. Is there any information to support that, or just?
I can take it.
Oh, go ahead.
Glad to take it.
Sure.
Yes, I received a letter from Dr. Bush. Obviously, this is my first year working here, but it is my understanding that this has happened for a number of years. So once again, Dr. Bush is intending to play some holiday music at their location. And so the music will play from 8 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. each day from Thanksgiving through New Year's Day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the second item is the holiday home decorating contest. We have our town clerk, Haley.
I'll take that one. The Adams Events Planning Committee is happy to announce again that we will be doing our holiday house decorating contest. Application will be starting on Monday, November 21st, which is this coming Monday, and it'll run through Friday, December 2nd. So you can log on to the town website, and the information will be there where you can sign up, or it will be out on Facebook also. And certainly, if you're having any difficulty finding it, you can call Town Hall. You can specifically call my office, 743-8300, extension 176, and we can hook you up, so that you can sign up if you want to decorate your house and be on the map again this year. Judging will take place Friday, December 9th, and again on Saturday, December 10th, from 5 to 8 p.m. So please, if you do decide to sign up, and you will get a reminder about this, that you have your lights all set up, all your decorations all lit up, and whatever else they need to do, if they're making noise or they're, if you have any blow-ups or anything like that, they all need to be up and running on Friday, December 9th and Saturday, December 10th. And the winners will be announced on Wednesday, December 14th. There is a little bit of a change to all of this. For the past couple of years, we've just done community choices for first, second, and third prize. This year, the events committee has decided that we will go back to our older days when we used to do this. We used to pile into a couple of cars, and we would drive around as a group, and we would view all the houses, and we would rank them all, and then we would come back and figure out first, second, and third prize. So we're going to do that again this year. We've decided that we're going to do that, so the judging panel is going to be events committee members, and we will pick first, second, and third place winners. But there's also going to be a community choice winner too. So you will still be able to go online, and you will still be able to vote for your favorite house. So we still want you to drive around town and look at all the wonderful decorations that everybody puts up, and then go online and do a community choice. So we're still going to do that also. But certainly, anybody has any questions, call Town Hall, call my office, or you can always call the town administrator's office, and they can direct you to my office, and we'll get you all worked out. So that's all about the home house decorating contest. I do want to make just a friendly reminder that Adams Community Bank will be sponsoring the Adams Holidays tree lighting, which is Sunday, November 27th at the Adamstown Common. There will be hay rides, Christmas carols, coffee, donuts, and cocoa. Santa will be arriving around 3 p.m. to greet all the children, and the tree will be lit at 4:30. And I believe they might be handing out some goodies too. So I would, if you're in town and you want to go down and see the tree lighting, it's always a really nice event. The hayride really brings people out. It's a really nice event. And with Dr. Bush playing his music, it makes it even more festive. So if you are around and you'd like to go to the tree lighting, that again is Sunday, November 27th from 2 to 5. And I just have one more.
Sure, go ahead.
Is that all right?
It's all good, it's all good.
It's all good, fun stuff for the upcoming holiday season. I want to just make note that last year, Northern Berkshire Community Coalition did a scavenger hunt with all of our local businesses. I can't remember what they had in the windows.
Snowman.
Okay, a snowman. I was going to say snowman because they are my favorite, but then I'm like, am I just thinking it's my favorite?
Snowman.
But anyways, it was snowman, and if you got a little passport, you came to town hall and you got a little passport, and then you went around and you collected some stamps, and then when you came back, you were able to get a prize from the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition. So again, we are happy to announce that they will be doing that again, our winter scavenger hunt. It is going to be Saturday, December 10th. I believe the hours are going to be 11 to 12:30, but there will be more information on the town website and on Facebook, so please stay tuned for all of that information. You'll be able to go to our local businesses and get your stamp again, and hopefully some goodies along the way. And you'll be able to bring it back and hopefully get a nice prize at the end. And it just gets you out into our visiting all of our local businesses, because some of you may not have even gone into a few of the businesses, or you've been there before, but it's always nice to see what Adams can offer. And it's nice in the downtown. And hopefully Dr. Bush will be playing his music on that Saturday too, for anybody that decides to walk up and down Park Street. But there, again, more information will be on the town website. You can call my office, you can call the town administrator's office, and it'll be out on Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now the board. Announcements go to the order. Howard.
Nothing for me.
Christine.
I have 3, so bear with me. First, since our town clerk is in the room, I just wanted to say thank you to Haley and all of your election workers. I know it's a really, really long day, but it's important work that they were all doing, and I just wanted to thank you and your entire team for last week and leading up to, because I think you said that there were 1,200 early voters, so that was mail-in and in-person early voters. So that was a lot to process as well. I wanted to just publicly thank the Council on Aging staff, as well as our veterans agent, Steve Roy, for the lovely ceremony last Thursday. And they had the Legion was there, so I wanted to thank them for being there for the flag ceremony. They had a beautiful luncheon and music provided, and it was really lovely, Aaron, to see all of the thank you notes from the elementary school that were sent over and put at everybody's place for lunch. It was really a beautiful touch. So thank you to all of those groups for recognizing our veterans. And the last one is that there is a ribbon cutting scheduled for this Friday at 11:30 in the morning at Secret Sun Tanning Salon over on Summer Street. So if anyone in the public is able to attend, that would be great. They opened up a little while ago, and they've been waiting to hold their ribbon cutting, and chose Friday, so hopefully people can join. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe.
Yes, I have a few items. I'll make it quick. I've had a lot of people coming up to me and asking to reinstitute the town administrator and town council reports. I know that it's up to the chairman to set up the agenda, but I'm asking at our next meeting if we could have a discussion on vote. I want to see how people stand on that. So if that's possible?
Sure it is, if you just send an email.
Yes, I will, okay.
Request the agenda item.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
normal. You're welcome.
Yeah, and question for Jay, the gas, are we paying for the gas that's going into Memorial Building now? The gas?
Always happened. Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought the building was, we have our side, but I thought that now that the developer had it, so we're still heating that building?
Yes, although he's in conversations with community development. Technically, that wouldn't change until there's a purchase and sale agreement drafted. So we have to keep that on for our purposes.
I understand that, but...
Yeah. Yes,
Okay,
we
so
are.
there hasn't been an agreement hashed out?
No?
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh.
Also, talking about the veterans, I went to the Veterans Celebration here on just over across the way, and it was brought to my attention by some veterans that they'd like to have that pole taken down and cleaned. It's a kind of a pole where you take out the screw and it comes down and you can hoist it up. I mean, it would be trouble to do it, but it looks unsightly, and they wanted to put a state of Massachusetts flag, and others were also concerned about the monuments out there. They're all green. They need to be like you do. I know Dave Nuvalli, who used to be with us, has a company that goes around and gets there and sprays them and gets all that collection of moss and things off of it. So I said that I'd bring it up in front of the board, so that I'm doing. I always do that. So something to think about, or a way of maybe helping out the veterans. And lastly, if I could, I'd like to stand up. Could you please get a picture of this? Okay, the reason I'm standing up is I went to the University of Idaho for my master's degree, and last weekend 4 young students were killed on the campus. They're still looking for the person that did it, but as everybody knows, when you go to a school, I mean, it was back in the early 80s, it's 2,700 miles away from here, but to think of a quaint little town like Moscow, Idaho, when I was attending there, to think that 4 students were, well, stabbed to death in their sorority and members, and it just brought it home to me that in this country, no one is safe at any place they are or at any time. So I just felt my heart wanted to say that and to do that, and I hope they find whoever did it and they're brought to justice. So that's all I have.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. This meeting is